Have you ever felt confused when your ex suddenly avoids you, refuses all conversations, or even ignores your presence? It makes you wonder, have all the chances ended, or is there still a way to change the situation? The truth is, it's not easy to get the attention of someone who has left, but that doesn't mean you're powerless. Sometimes, the key lies not in pleas or clinging actions, but in your own natural attractiveness. Imagine, instead of chasing after them, you create a confident and attractive version of yourself that makes your ex curious and wants to learn about your life. It's not impossible. In fact, seemingly small daily habits can turn you into someone unforgettable in their mind. From the way you take care of yourself, your positive attitude, to the way you create value in your own life, all are powerful weapons that make it impossible for them not to notice. In this video, we will share 5 important habits that anyone can apply to not only change the way your ex sees you, but also help you regain confidence and control. These are not superficial tricks, but practical strategies for you to become the most attractive version of yourself. What's special is that with these habits, you not only make your ex want to come back, but also create attraction with anyone around you. Are you ready to discover these secrets and completely change the way your ex sees you? Read on to understand how to master the situation, turning them into the one who has to seek attention from you. Don't miss this valuable information. This could be the key to changing your love game forever. Secret number 1. Stop trying to cling to someone who avoids you. When it comes to people with avoidant attachment styles, understanding their psychology is key, especially if you're a man trying to reconnect with an ex who exhibits these traits. To understand why stopping the pursuit is the first and most important habit, we need to delve into the psychological framework of the avoidant attachment style from their perspective, yours, and the relationships. People with an avoidant attachment style often develop this trait from a past filled with hurt. They may have grown up in an environment where emotions were not acknowledged or even disregarded. Avoidant individuals, especially women, often carry a history of childhood trauma. They may have grown up in a family environment lacking emotional support, where feelings were invalidated or ridiculed. During those early years, when a child needs nurturing and love to develop trust and a sense of security, they learn to suppress emotions and become independent to survive in an environment devoid of comfort. This inadvertently creates a strong defense mechanism. They close themselves off to deep emotions, see intimacy as a danger, and avoid anything that might make them feel vulnerable or dependent. Phrases like, "Don't overreact," or "It's no big deal," "Why are you sad?" gradually lead them to build a thick emotional shell, where dependency or intimacy is seen as a sign of weakness. They learn to cope on their own and shy away from close connections, because closeness once meant pain. Imagine such a woman in a relationship with you. She may feel your sincere affection, but deep down she struggles with herself. Every loving word, every caring gesture may not be warmly received, not because she doesn't appreciate it, but because she doesn't know how to handle them. Intimacy, for her, is like a fire that is both warm and dangerous. This leads her to avoid important conversations, even withdrawing from the relationship when she feels pressured. When you try to cling to such a person, you not only face their rejection, but also inadvertently increase the insecurity and pressure they are facing. Instead of bringing her closer, your efforts push her further away. Avoidant individuals, especially women, need time and space to feel safe and to begin processing their suppressed emotions. They can only confront their fears and true desires when they no longer feel pressured by the expectations of others. This is why stopping the pursuit is the best way to give them the opportunity to freely explore their emotions. When you step back, you not only free yourself from the painful emotional cycle, but also allow them time to ask themselves, "What do I really want? What am I afraid of, and why?" From an avoidant person's perspective, distance is not an end, but sometimes a necessary condition for them to face themselves. Finally, the most important thing is to ask yourself whether this relationship is worth continuing to sacrifice and wait for. Loving an avoidant person requires not only love, but also patience, compassion, and a deep understanding of psychology. But if they are not willing to change or do not recognize their problem, then your efforts may be just a lonely journey, prolonging the hurt for both of you. Stopping the pursuit is not giving up on love, but an act of self-respect and respect for both yourself and the other person. Only when you stop, both of you are free from the constraints of expectations and pressure. Both have a real opportunity to grow and find what is best for each person. Secret number 2, 4 mysterious personality types. Avoidants can't resist. People with an avoidant attachment style are often seen as complex in relationships because they both crave connection and fear intimacy. When we talk about the types of people they tend to be attracted to, we're not just looking at superficial compatibility, but also psychological complementarity. Avoidants often feel safest when the relationship isn't too close and doesn't require too much emotional commitment. Therefore, they are often attracted to people whose personality or psychological traits meet their need for space and independence. Based on psychological models like Myers-Briggs, the following 4 personality types can attract avoidants, not just because of their personality, but also because of how they interact and respond to emotions in a relationship. To understand this phenomenon better, we can rely on the personality types identified by the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, MBTI, a psychological classification tool based on 4 main opposing pairs. Introversion, EVS, extroversion. Extroverts enjoy interacting with the external world. Sensing, there's conflicting advice. Intuition focuses on concrete, factual information, while intuition prioritizes abstract, general information. Thinking versus feeling. Thinking uses logic to make decisions, while feeling relies on personal values and human perception. Judging, perceiving favors structure and planning. Perceiving favors flexibility and spontaneity. Combining these elements, we have 16 personality types, of which the following 4 often attract people with avoidant tendencies. 1. The strategic and independent INTJ. Let's start with the first type. Rational, independent, and strategic individuals, often described by personality groups like INTJ. They live by logic, prefer long-term plans, and respect the independence of others. This is especially appealing to avoidants, as INTJs don't put emotional pressure on their partners. They don't require their partners to constantly express emotions or meet societal standards of love. Instead, they value parallel personal development. For example, imagine an avoidant woman attracted to a man who always has a clear plan, is steadfast, and never imposes emotions on others. He not only makes her feel safe without having to strain to meet emotional expectations, but also inspires admiration for his ability to stand firm and independent in all circumstances. For her, this relationship doesn't feel restrictive. It's like 2 entities coexisting with respective freedom. We can't forget Elon Musk, CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, considered a typical INTJ. Musk not only stands out with his strategic focus, but also impresses with how he respects personal space and independence in relationships. An avoidant person might be attracted to how Musk keeps his distance, doesn't rely too much on emotions, and instead focuses on grand goals. 2. The practical and flexible ISTP. Next, practical, rational, and flexible people like ISTPs also often have a strong appeal to avoidants. These individuals are not bound by rigid social rules and often choose to live based on personal freedom. For example, an ISTP man can make an avoidant woman feel secure when their relationship doesn't come with heavy expectations. He doesn't pressure her to share emotions or commit beyond her capacity. Instead, he cherishes small but meaningful moments, such as engaging in activities they both enjoy, without needing flowery words or public displays of affection. For an avoidant, this is the perfect balance between connection and personal space. Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple, can be considered an ISTP. He stood out for his pragmatism and ability to solve problems logically. Jobs also displayed strong independence and often didn't place too much emphasis on emotions or social expectations, which avoidants would find appealing. 3. The empathetic and insightful, INFJ. It's important to mention Martin Luther King Jr., the renowned civil rights activist, who clearly exhibited the characteristics of an INFJ. He not only led the movement with empathy, but also provided a sense of deep security for those who accompanied him. An avoidant might be attracted to how he used his sensitivity to connect without violating their personal boundaries. 4. The gentle and accepting ISFP. Finally, ISFPs, gentle, sensitive, and adaptable individuals, are a particularly attractive type for avoidants. Imagine an ISFP man with a gentle nature who accepts all aspects of his partner without judgment. He doesn't try to change her, doesn't require her to be standard in expressing emotions. Instead, he just quietly exists, ready when she needs him and willing to step back when she wants space. This subtlety is a soothing balm for the deep fears within an avoidant woman, allowing her to feel loved without feeling threatened by it. Princess Diana, a typical ISFP, is a testament to gentleness, sensitivity, and deep empathy. Diana always showed genuine care without imposing, helping those around her feel comfortable and loved. For an avoidant, Diana's subtlety would be a healing balm without pressure. The types of people avoidants are attracted to are not simply a matter of matching personalities, but also a reflection of the inner needs they rarely express. It's the need for a safe space to confront deep insecurities, to gradually learn to open up without feeling hurt or imposed upon. But most importantly, regardless of the type of person they are attracted to, they still need self-awareness and effort from themselves to overcome the emotional barriers deeply ingrained in their minds. A relationship is only truly healthy when both are willing to face themselves, not just rely on one person to heal the other. Unassailable by their comradeship, relationships contain the strengths of both and the weaknesses of both. Secret number 3, awakening the subconscious. Touching the heart of the avoidant. Ex-partners with an avoidant attachment style always carry within them an air of mystery, where deep-seated anxieties about attachment are hidden beneath a shell of coldness and detachment. They seem immune to the connection needs of others and often appear unaffected by loss or separation. However, the reality is that these emotions don't disappear. They are buried in the subconscious, waiting for special moments to be evoked. Research in the book Attached has shown that avoidants are not without attachment anxieties. They are just very good at suppressing them. They react quickly to words like need or overwhelm, because in their minds they constantly identify partners as being too dependent or demanding. At the same time, they are slow to recognize words like separation or loss, because these emotions have been repressed so deeply in the subconscious. When their mental energy is dispersed by another task, their ability to control emotions diminishes, and in that moment, their true anxieties about attachment will surface. Imagine a man who once deeply loved an avoidant woman. He feels helpless in the face of her coldness and unwillingness to commit. But if he understands this psychological mechanism, he can create opportunities for her true emotions to be revealed. For example, he might invite her to a cooking session together, where both must work together to create a complete meal. As she focuses on preparing ingredients or experimenting with new recipes, her defenses will gradually lower. During light conversation about food or fun moments in the kitchen, he can subtly recall warm memories between the two, such as the time they both enjoyed a special dinner, or ask her about dreams she once wanted to pursue but hasn't yet. Such intimate and gentle activities create opportunities for emotional connection naturally and without pressure. These moments are like knocking on the door of the avoidant subconscious, not by force, but with tact and empathy. Imagine you join her for a painting session, and while she's focused on mixing colors, you gently share your feelings about a time when you both felt close. Or late one night after finishing an emotional documentary, you ask her how she feels about the connection between the characters, leading the conversation to a sense of connection in real life. These moments, when they are off guard, are when their true emotions emerge, no longer suppressed by defenses. Of course, no approach guarantees complete success, but the most important thing is that you don't try to change them or force them to confront their attachment anxieties directly. Instead, you are opening up space for them to recognize and feel for themselves. Avoidants are not people who don't want to love, but people who carry within them a fear of love and being hurt. With patience, subtlety, and empathy, you can help them step through their shell to reach deep emotions where true love can blossom and grow. But above all, remember that this process not only takes time and effort on your part, but also requires their willingness to face themselves and past hurts. Secret number 4, the emotional whirlpool and the journey to touch the avoidant's heart. Ex-partners with an avoidant attachment style often create a complex emotional whirlpool in the relationship, where the behavior of both parties constantly triggers each other's deepest fears. When an anxious person tries to seek reassurance or connection from their partner, this inadvertently raises the avoidant's fear of losing their independence. Conversely, when the avoidant withdraws and creates distance, they exacerbate the anxious person's fear of abandonment. This vicious cycle of push and pull is not only exhausting but also addictive, as it taps into psychological patterns formed from childhood attachment experiences. In attachment psychology, anxious individuals often turn to avoidance as an unconscious way to recreate familiar dynamics from the past, where they tried to win love or approval from significant people in their lives, but were often rejected. This leads to the false hope that by overcoming the avoidant's coldness, they can heal old wounds. Conversely, avoidants are also drawn to anxious individuals because their persistent behavior provides a familiar sense of control over distance in the relationship. But this attraction, instead of healing, further deepens the patterns of hurt. Here's a specific example story I'll tell you. Jake and Emily have been in love for a year, but the relationship always feels incomplete. Emily, although intelligent and independent, tends to keep her distance, making Jake feel abandoned despite his constant efforts to connect. One evening, wanting to deepen the relationship, Jake suggests they take a trip together to explore beautiful natural scenery. He thinks the trip will be an opportunity for them to share memorable moments and bond more closely. Emily smiles, but her eyes show a hint of hesitation. She hesitantly says, "Sounds good, but I'm not sure my work will allow it. Maybe we should leave it for later." Jake feels disappointed. He doesn't understand why Emily can't be excited about the idea he worked so hard to come up with. Within him, disappointment gradually turns into stubbornness. He patiently explains, "This trip is not just about traveling. It's time for us to truly connect with each other." But Emily, feeling pressured, only responds with a non-committal nod, then becomes even more distant. In reality, Emily is not indifferent or unloving towards Jake. She carries within her wounds from a childhood lacking understanding, where she had to learn to build emotional walls to protect herself. She fears that too much closeness will push her into a situation where she loses her freedom and control. And Jake, with his anxious attachment, the more he tries to pull her closer, the more he inadvertently overwhelms her. After many days of self-reflection, Jake decides to stop trying to change Emily. He realizes he can't force her to open up. Instead, he focuses on his own life, spending time with friends, trying new hobbies, and stops mentioning the trip. The change in Jake's attitude not only helps him regain balance, but also reduces the pressure on Emily. Surprisingly, when the distance between them is no longer defined by pressure or expectations, Emily gradually feels safer. One evening, while they are watching a movie, Emily suddenly turns and says, "About the trip, maybe we can plan it, but I want to try a short one first, okay?" Jake smiles, not because he has won, but because he understands that change comes not from coercion, but from creating space for the other person to voluntarily step closer. In love, sometimes it's not about clinging, but learning to wait with understanding and respect. The solution to breaking this cycle is not to keep pulling the other person towards you, but to understand the difference between what they want and what they really need. Avoidants are often attracted to independent partners who are undemanding and don't create pressure. They want freedom in the relationship, but actually need a safe environment where they can gradually learn to confront their suppressed emotions. However, the paradox is that if you present yourself as a safe person from the beginning, they are often not attracted. This is the difference between selling them what they want and giving them what they need. To approach an avoidant, sometimes mirroring their independence and autonomy can be more effective. For example, instead of constantly trying to connect or seek commitment, show them that you also have a meaningful life of your own. If they like freedom, show them that you respect that, while using gentle, low-pressure moments to evoke emotions. For example, instead of emphasizing long-term plans, you might suggest a walk in the park, where you both enjoy the present moment without discussing the future. More importantly, you need to ask yourself whether this relationship truly meets your own deep needs. In the process of trying to attract an avoidant, you may discover that developing secure attachment within yourself changes your perspective on this relationship. Many people realize that when they become more secure, they no longer feel a relationship with an avoidant is necessary or appropriate. This is not giving up, but a step towards health and happiness. Ultimately, the important thing is not to pull the avoidant back, but to understand your own values and true needs while creating space for both of you to grow naturally, unburdened by past hurts. Secret number 5, the emotional safe space of avoidance in love. Ex-partners with an avoidant attachment style are a symbol of complexity and contradiction in relationships. They often confuse their partners because what they say they want doesn't align with the actions they actually take. One of the most prominent aspects of avoidant individuals is the concept of emotional safe space, a relationship space where they want to keep things at a safe level without encroaching on deep emotional territory. In this space, they don't need to share their hidden anxieties or pain, but just enough connection to maintain a sense of comfort. Chapter 7. Imagine a man in love with an avoidant woman. When they first met, she appeared confident, independent, and attractive with a mysterious, aloof aura. She created a sense of security because she didn't demand immediate commitment from him. But after a while, as he began to desire a deeper relationship, she seemed to step back, even avoiding conversations about the future. Once he suggested they try discussing living together, hoping this would be a significant step forward in their relationship. Instead of being excited, she gave a forced laugh and changed the subject. He felt like he was chasing a wind he couldn't reach, but couldn't let go of either. The truth is, she wasn't intentionally hurting him. Deep down, she still longed for love and connection, but the fear of losing her freedom and feeling controlled made her build emotional walls. Part of her was attracted to the attention and affection he gave her, but another part wanted to maintain her emotional safe space, where she could control everything without feeling vulnerable. This explains why avoidants often say they want an independent partner who doesn't demand too much. But in reality, they often end up with people with an anxious attachment style. Anxious individuals, with their need for closeness and reassurance, are often attracted to the independent and strong exterior of avoidance. For them, the distance of their partner further stimulates their need to conquer and connect. Meanwhile, avoidants are attracted to the emotional energy of anxious individuals. something they don't easily find within themselves. However, this combination creates a negative loop. The more the anxious person tries to pull the other person closer, the more the avoidant feels pressured and withdraws. This withdrawal further increases the anxious person's fear of abandonment, causing them to try harder, and the cycle continues. Deep down, avoidants still have a need for closeness, as experiments in Attached have shown. When they are caught off guard, such as while focusing on another task, suppressed emotions about separation or hurt can suddenly emerge. This proves that, despite appearing distant on the surface, they are not immune to the pain of loss or separation. But to reach this emotional part, patience, subtlety, and, most importantly, no pressure are needed. Ultimately, the relationship between an anxious person and an avoidant person is a great lesson about the contradictions within humans. Anxious individuals need to learn to value themselves instead of trying to fix their partner. Avoidants need to realize that love does not mean loss of freedom. Only when both are aware of their true needs and stop chasing old patterns can they escape this emotional whirlpool to seek a healthier relationship. Love with an avoidant is not simply a journey to conquer their heart, but an opportunity for you to explore and understand yourself. Attractive habits not only help attract their attention, but also create conditions for both to learn to balance emotions and reason, independence and connection. However, the most important thing to remember is that no one can change another person if they are not ready. Becoming a better version of yourself is not only to attract them, but to find your own value in life. By creating natural attraction from confidence, independence, and a deep understanding of love, you not only make a relationship with an avoidant possible, but also open the door to a more genuine, healthier love, whether with them or someone else. Ultimately, your true strength lies in your ability to step out of the emotional whirlpool and choose what is best for both your heart and soul.